Hello, and welcome to this explainer. Think of our time together today as just a comfortable, private consultation in a calm dermatologist's office. We're looking at demystifying dandruff, taking a clinical look at your scalp. We're going to break down the science of something most of us have experienced, and we'll do it step by step to really visualize the microscopic world living right on top of our heads. Let's get right into it.
So what exactly is the white stuff you see falling out of your hair? We've absolutely all been there. You're getting ready for your day, maybe you pull on a dark-colored sweater, give your hair a quick scratch, and yep, there it is, a light dusting of white flakes resting right there on your shoulders. It's a symptom that can honestly feel a little embarrassing, right? Making us hastily brush off our collars before anyone notices. But I really want to comfort you right now and assure you that if you're seeing this, you are in excellent, incredibly vast company. It is a completely shared human experience. But what's actually falling from our hair? Well, to understand that, we kind of have to look past the symptom itself and understand the environment it comes from.
I really want this message to resonate with you. This is a completely normal condition. One of the biggest hurdles we face when talking about scalp health is the heavy stigma attached to it. There's this very common, yet very incorrect assumption that if you have these white flakes, it must mean you have poor hygiene or, that you just aren't washing your hair enough. Let me clear that out for you right now. That is simply not the case. Seeing those flakes doesn't mean you're unclean. Rather, it simply indicates that you have a very active, thriving biological ecosystem situated right there on your head. You're literally a host to a microscopic world, and sometimes, well, that world just gets a little bit out of balance.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is where the biology gets truly interesting. The condition we're talking about, those white flakes, is known as dandruff, which is an overgrowth of fungus on your scalp. Now, I know the word fungus can sound a little alarming. People hear fungus, and they immediately think of something negative or infectious. But I want to gently introduce the fact that this fungal presence is completely natural. It's supposed to be there. It's only when we experience an overgrowth, when there is simply too much of it, that we actually start to see the visible signs.
To truly grasp this, we need to completely shift how we view our skin. Your scalp isn't just a flat, lifeless surface. It's a vibrant, microscopic environment. It's a living habitat. Think of your scalp's ecosystem much like a forest floor or a coral reef. It's teeming with life, naturally balancing various elements to keep your skin healthy and protected. This ecosystem is a fascinating place. It's completely normal and entirely necessary for your dermatological well-being. That fungus we just mentioned, it's a permanent resident of this neighborhood. It lives there happily, just going about its microscopic business day in and day out.
So, how does this ecosystem actually function? Well, like any living thing, the naturally occurring fungus on your scalp needs sustenance to survive. On one hand, your scalp naturally produces oils to keep your skin moisturized and your hair healthy, and on the other hand, the microscopic fungus population relies on those natural oils as its primary food source. They exist in this delicate, symbiotic balance. In a perfectly balanced ecosystem, the scalp produces just enough oil and the fungus consumes just enough of it, and the whole shebang remains completely harmonious and totally invisible to the naked eye.
But, ecosystems are dynamic, they change. And as the fungus population inevitably grows, maybe due to a slight change in your body's chemistry, the weather, or just the natural ebb and flow of biology, its appetite grows right along with it. The source material points out a really simple truth here. As the population grows, it consumes more and more oil. It's just simple math. More microscopic residents on your scalp mean they're going to eat a much larger amount of that natural oil. And this increased consumption is the true catalyst for the changes that eventually lead to those white flakes on your shoulders. The quiet harmony of your scalp's ecosystem begins to experience just a little bit of stress.
Now, what's really interesting about this process is the internal chain reaction caused by this totally harmless overgrowth. We've established the key players here, right? The scalp, the oils, and the fungus. And we know the fungus is having a bit of a feast and growing in numbers. But how on earth does an invisible microscopic organism eating natural oil turn into a visible white flake? Well, we're shifting our focus now toward how dandruff actually forms. It's a fascinating sequence of cause and effect, where a completely natural action triggers a perfectly natural bodily reaction. Let's break down exactly how this unfolds.
Let me walk you methodically through this exact biological sequence. First, as we've seen, the fungus population grows and feeds heavily on your natural scalp oil. But this heightened activity doesn't go unnoticed by your body. This excessive feeding and overgrowth causes a mild irritation on the scalp itself. Your skin is super sensitive, and it senses that the balance is off. This irritation acts as your body's internal alarm bell, and in response to that alarm bell, your scalp reacts by producing way more dead skin cells than normal. It's essentially trying to rapidly shed the irritated surface, kicking its normal cellular turnover right into high gear.
So the crucial point is that the flakes you eventually see are not the fungus itself. I really want to reassure you of that. The flakes are simply your own body naturally producing more dead skin cells than normal as a direct biological defense response to that mild fungal irritation. Look, your skin is always shedding dead cells. You do it all over your body every single day, and usually those cells fall away completely invisibly. But because of this localized irritation on the scalp, the shedding process speeds up dramatically. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do, trying to heal and protect itself by turning over new skin at an accelerated rate.
And this brilliantly illustrates why those rapidly shedding cells become so visible to us, because they aren't just falling away into the air as single, microscopic, invisible units. Remember that oil we talked about earlier? The oil that the fungus was happily feeding on? Well, it's still there on the scalp. So now we have a clumping mixture with two main elements present in really high quantities: the newly produced excess dead skin cells and the naturally occurring scalp oil. These excess cells don't just gently fall away immediately. First, they get mixed right into the scalp's oils. They encounter the slightly sticky, moisturizing environment before they can ever leave the head.
Because of that mixture, a physical change happens. The oil acts almost like a natural adhesive. When those hundreds of thousands of microscopic dead skin cells mix with the natural oils of your scalp, they end up sticking together into clumps. They bind to one another, forming much larger, denser masses. This specific mixture physically binds together into the distinct clumps that we so easily recognize. So the microscopic process has now officially become macroscopic. What started as an invisible cellular reaction has aggregated into something large enough for the human eye to easily perceive.
And this brings our little clinical consultation full circle. Those resulting clumps of dead skin cells mixed tightly with your scalp oil, that is the exact scientific definition of dandruff. It confirms that this natural biological mixture is the very white stuff falling out of your hair that we talked about at the very start of this explainer. It's not dirt, it's not poor hygiene. No, it's quite literally just clumps of your own skin cells, bound together by your own natural oils, shed in response to a naturally occurring organism that just got a little too enthusiastic at the buffet. The mystery on your shoulders is completely solved just by looking at the biology.
Let's step back and see how this all builds together, because it brings us to a really important understanding. This entire cycle, the oil, the fungus, the irritation, the extra skin cells, and the resulting clumps, is just normal biology functioning exactly as it's expected to function under those specific conditions. It is just your microscopic ecosystem working, reacting, and trying its best to find its balance again. As any dermatologist would tell you, understanding the actual mechanics takes the fear and the embarrassment right out of the equation. Your body isn't failing you. It's actively responding to its environment in a highly coordinated, albeit slightly messy way.
So I want to leave you with this final, empowering thought today. If dandruff is truly just a natural ecosystem at work, how might finally understanding that completely remove the stigma of a flaky scalp? My hope is that the next time you brush a speck off your shoulder, you don't feel anxiety or embarrassment. Instead, you can look at it and appreciate the incredibly complex, tireless, microscopic world of your own biology that is working hard every single day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep wondering about the amazing science happening right on